Let's talk about alliances, joint ventures, and partnerships. An alliance or partnership is when two or more companies join together. Alliances tend to be less formal and for a shorter duration than partnerships. Mergers and acquisitions. A merger is when we combine the operation of two companies through a purchase normally, and they join on an equal footing. An acquisition, on the other hand, is what we would think of as buying another company. We buy one and we take over its resources, its capabilities, its competencies. Why would we want to do any of these things? Well, a big one is to gain economies of scale or scope, to expand our geographic coverage, to extend our product category, to gain new resources, usually technology, maybe to invent a new industry, and to diversify or integrate. More reasons? It could be a critical to a company's achievement, a strategic goal, a strategic objective that it's trying to reach. It could be to deal with our competencies or competitive advantage, maybe even a sustainable competitive advantage. To block a competitive threat. See this really happen when we do a merger or an acquisition where we take over a competition. To open important new markets, we might do a joint venture with a beer company in Africa in order to open new African markets. And sometimes we do it to mitigate risk. We can buy our suppliers, for example, to help get rid of risk and make sure that our supply is going to come in. The advantages to mergers and partnerships, basically it's so that we can share and gain knowledge. It gives us new technology. It gives us expertise, perhaps in marketing or the product development or processes or manufacturing. It creates better supply chain efficiencies. This especially if we go with an integration strategy. This economies of scale or scope. Sometimes it can give us faster product to market times. And it allows obviously us to enter new geographic markets very quickly. And when we're dealing with foreign markets specifically and we deal with a foreign company, it might give us quick knowledge of an unfamiliar culture and market. And it should give us access to skills and competencies we don't already have. Something that you have to remember, and this is kind of interesting, is very few alliances, partnerships, or joint ventures succeed for any length of time. However, research has shown that practice makes perfect. The more often a company is part of an alliance, a partnership, or a joint venture, the more likely it is to succeed in the future. So even though they don't last very long, the more of them you get involved with, the better you understand how they work and the more likely you are to succeed with them. So why do they fail? Well, goals just change over time between the two organizations. We might find that there's some kind of culture clash and we just can't work together. Conditions change, technology changes, or market changes. A big one is that we might overestimate how much we're going to save by doing this. Corporate culture clashes. We might find that our value chain activities are not as similar as we thought they were going to be. And ultimately, because it's not a good strategic fit, it's possible that we learn enough from each other that instead of being buddies, we end up being rivals in the market. So how do you succeed? How do you help reduce this chance of failure? Make sure you pick the right partner. Make sure that your goals really are the same. Make sure that your cultures are similar enough that you can deal with it. Be aware of those cultural differences, whether they're company to company or national to national or both. And an alliance has to benefit both companies. It can't be one-sided. And you have to make sure that both parties live up to their commitments. The last thing is when you structure this alliance or this joint partnership, it needs to be structured so that actions can be taken quickly. You don't want this up and down, this whole massive hierarchy. Decisions have to be able to be made very quickly. Manage your agreement and adapt it if you need to along the way. That's the end of Chapter 7.